First of all, welcome back to every single person here, or welcome home to every single person here. It's always a gorgeous man. The summer's man in Durham, the summer's man in Yeshiva is always a very, very special man. And I wanted to welcome everybody back to this man and wish us all tremendous siyata d'shmaya in this man, tremendous success in all our journeys. We should all have a tremendously successful Zman. This period in Klal Yisrael, this period of Sfiras HaOmer, this period of journeying from Pesach to Shavuos, is a time of the year that Klal Yisrael very much thinks about a specific few tzaddikim, and we're very, very focused on Rabbi Kiva and one of his great Talmidim, Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. That's Klal Yisrael's busy on Lag BaOmer, which is coming up shortly, was the day that Reb Shimon Bar Yochai met his Rebbe. A life-changing day for Klal Yisrael. It's a day that Reb Shimon Bar Yochai met his Rebbe, Rabbi Kiva. And that's what's very, very highlighted. Klal Yisrael's busy where there was a tragedy that happened to Rabbi Kiva's yeshiva, and Klal Yisrael's in mourning. Klal Yisrael's not listening to music, is growing their beards, growing their hair, is very much focused on Rabbi Kiva's yeshiva. And then Rabbi Kiva's amazing courage after his yeshiva was devastated, after his yeshiva went through tremendous tragedy, Rabbi Kiva rebuilt with his 5 Talmidim Shebedarim. The 5, it happens to be, it's called Durham. His new yeshiva was the 5 Talmidim Shebedarim. And Klal Yisrael's very, very much thinking about Rabbi Kiva and his Talmidim, his 5 new Talmidim, amongst them Shimon Bar Yochai. Klal Yisrael's very, very busy with Niyamei Sfira. Things are not just coincidences, are not just everything's Hashkachas Hashem. Everything's very, very exact. And that Klal Yisrael is so busy with Rabbi Kiva, and this man is so focused on Rabbi Kiva. There are very, very important reasons in this man headed to Kabbalah Satira that we're busy with Rabbi Kiva. Now, all of us famously know Rabbi Kiva's start. Rabbi Kiva was a Bak Amaretz. It says Rabbi Kiva didn't even know one parak of Mishnayos. The Gemara tells us, the Gemara, open Gemara in Ksubis, and the Gemara says about Rabbi Kiva that he didn't know one parak of Mishnayos. Afilu parak echad. He was 40 years old of Mishnayos. He ends up becoming one of the great stars of our history, to the point that Chazal tell us when Moshe Rabbeinu was shown what Rabbi Kiva looked like, Moshe Rabbeinu said to God, why are you giving the Torah through me? Give it through Rabbi Kiva. He was so nishtaimim, so awed by Rabbi Kiva, he said, what are you giving the Torah through me? Give it through Rabbi Kiva. But Rabbi Kiva, when he got married, Rabbi Kiva didn't know anything. He was a Bak Amaretz. He was a total Amaretz Rabbi Kiva. And she married him. Why did she marry him? The Gemara in Ksubah says she saw 2 things about Rabbi Kiva. 2 things that impressed her about Rabbi Kiva. And this is why she married Rabbi Kiva, even though she came from a very wealthy family. The Gemara in Gittin tells us that her father was one of the 3 Ashirim, one of the 3 wealthy Jews in Yerushalayim. They were fabulously wealthy. And she could have married anybody. Her father was Kalba Savua. She could have married anybody, but she married Rabbi Kiva for 2 reasons. She chose him, Agami was an Amaretz, and she was Machshav Torah, and he didn't know any Torah, because he had 2 qualities. He was Sniya Umali. Sniya means he had an inner world. What's Snius? We typically associate Snius with a lady. It says she saw in Rabbi Kiva, he was a Tanua. Sniya Umali. What's Snius? What does it mean? Typically we associated a midah with a lady. I think we don't understand what Snius is, but we typically associate on a lady. It is said on Rabbi Kiva, she saw on Rabbi Kiva And the reason she chose him and believed in him was he was Sneya Umali. He had Sneus. And I believe what Sneus is, what Pashtus, what Sneus is he had an inner world. He was focused and was attuned and sensitive to his inner world, not just perception, how people saw him, how it looked to others. Sneus is that world within, the world alone inside of a person. He had a very built inner world, and he was a tzanua. He had this built inner world. Rabbi Kiva was a shepherd, as many of our greats were, which means he was separate from society. He wasn't around. He wasn't about perception. It wasn't about how people saw him. It wasn't about what others saw. He was a tzanua. In his own private place, he had a built world, a world that was developed, a world that was sensitive and fine-tuned. She saw that in him. Amazingly, that it takes very good eyes. To see a person who looks stark, anybody could tell. To see tznius, it takes one to know one. And Rabbi Kiva's wife saw in him that which you can't see. She saw in him, to say on somebody they're a tzanua, how would you know that? Tzanua is what nobody can see. But one who is could see it as well. And she saw in Rabbi Kiva, he's a tzanua. He has something that nobody will understand. It's not something you could show off. My mother had a sign on our fridge growing up. It said the bad part about being an anav is you can't tell anybody about it. But tzanua is something that's not about what others see, what others say, what others notice. It's sneus. It's an inner world. The person sensitive, refined, truthful, worked out, is really attuned inside. I would say one of the centers of Klal Yisrael on Tznius is Durham, Connecticut, is this yeshiva. It's one of the great bastions. It's a fortress of Tznius. It's not about what others can see. I remember once a very prestigious gentleman came to yeshiva. He saw guys in a shear like blowing e-cigs. I remember a guy had a big e-cig. There was an old guy in the yeshiva had a big e-cig. It like blew the amount of smoke. Chimneys don't make as much smoke. I remember at that shear, the guy's blowing e-cig smoke. He saw guys at shear not dressed so yeshivish. He saw guys speaking up. There was like action. The guys aren't comfortable yet, so it's a little quiet today. But he saw the chevra was moving, and it was like Lebedik. He was like, what am I seeing? He was a world who lived in he was a fellow who lived in a very external world. I remember he's like, what am I seeing here? What am I seeing here? I didn't explain to the gentleman what he was seeing. I didn't explain to him what he was seeing. I felt it wasn't where he was up to be honest. But I want to say to you, what that man was seeing was a world of tzneus. A world that I don't know if he yet has the eyes to notice. A world of people who are trying to connect to something in a meaningful, in a deep, in a profound, and an honest way. A world of tzneus. And Rabbi Kiva's wife saw in Rabbi Kiva, he was a tzanua. He had that world within. It wasn't about perception, what the world sees. It wasn't stark. Rabbi Kiva wasn't a stark guy. In the eyes, his Kalba Savua, who was a big Talmud Chacham, saw his daughter marry this guy, was upset. You're marrying him? Him? He answered her from all the nechasim, but she knew he'd become something big because he's a tzanua, because he was working in the place that others can't see. Clearly, he had been building things that people couldn't see. So he wasn't being successful yet. He wasn't even learning a lot of Torah yet. He wasn't learning Torah. He only knew one parak, but he was a tzanua. There was some quality there of tznius, of refinement, of character building, of a sensitivity, of a privacy. He was a tzanua. The second thing he was Mali. Mali means good midas. He had midas taivas. was a very refined, good to men. She was good to others. It's interesting to me the two relate. They can't be the same thing, or Chazal wouldn't have to say it. Mali means midas tovus. He had Mali, he was good to others. Rishonim, the Rishonim will learn that the word Mali means midas tovus. See, with Sanua, he had a built inner world. Sneus, he had a world inside that was very developed, that was very fine-tuned, and he was Mali. In the world, mibachutz, he was nice to others. And as such, Kalbus Savua's daughter chose him to marry him. She ended up marrying him. He ends up, of course, becoming one of the greats in our history. He ends up learning Torah by two great Rebbeim, Rabbi Lazar and Rabbi Yeshua. He learned by two Tanoim. And he ends up becoming, at the age of 40, one of the greats of our history, Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Kiva developed the yeshiva, and he was talking to his Talmidim. After he had become a Gaon and a Gadol b'Torah, Rabbi Kiva was talking to his Talmidim. And he said, I want to tell you about myself. In an honest moment, he revealed about himself. And he said to his Talmidim that back in the day, when I was in Amaretz, before I knew a parak of Torah, and you're talking about somebody who was a Tzanua and Mali, he said, but I despised Talmidei Chachamim. To the point that I said, bring me a Talmud Chacham, I want to bite him. Bring me a Talmud Chacham, I want to bite him. But not he was triggered. Doesn't say when he passed by a Talmud Chacham. You imagine the level of anger. Sometimes somebody angers us that when we see him, we feel angry. We might have a person who angers us, Yankov, that if we see that person, we get angry. Rabbi Kiva's hatred of Talmidei Chacham was such, he said, bring me, when he didn't even see a Talmud Chacham. He said, bring me a Talmud Chacham and I'll bite him. But not just any bite, Yankov, he wanted to bite the Talmud Chacham. A dog, this dude, Dan Kalish, when I was 9 or 10, I was bitten by a dog right here. I got stitches. The dog took a bite out of my leg, and I got stitches. I was bleeding geschmack. It was pouring down my foot. We had very nice neighbors, and in their kindness, my neighbors were very nice people, and in their kindness, they took in a stray dog. And he was there for a couple of weeks living by my neighbors. I had been playing ball with my cousin, and I forgot my baseball glove. So I was running around the block, down Virginia to Caffrey, back to my house to quickly get my glove, to run back to Cornega, down Caffrey, right, left on Virginia, and left on Cornega, to go play baseball with my cousin. And I ran by my house. I was running by, we're having a catch on the street. I was running by my house to get my glove, and the dog came running out of the house and bit me right on the leg. Took a good bite. Got a lot of flesh and ripped off. I was bleeding really badly down my leg. And I got stitches fine because the doctor put me back together. In no time I was playing ball, the next day playing ball already. The doctor stitched me up. Said Rabbi Kiva, I wanted a bite, Talmidei Chacham, not the bite of a dog. That the doctor stitches you up and you're better. I wanted to bite him, the bite of a donkey. When a donkey bites, it crushes the bones. There's no stitches. You have no bones left. It crushes the bones. I wanted to smash Talmidei Chacham in the bite of a donkey. To not just bite him. Bite him is like hurt him. I wanted to bite the bite of a donkey to end him. Crush, crunch. There's no stitches putting him back together. That's what I felt about Talmidei Chacham. Asked Taisus and Ksubis, I thought Rabbi Kiva was a nice person. I thought he was a Tsanua and a Mali. What happened to the Mali? To the Zisa Mensch, a kind person. He wanted to see a Talmud Chacham, Yankov. He said he wanted to crush them to smithereens. I thought he's a nice person. That sounds like an unbelievably aggressive man. Where's the Mali of a person who wants to crush Talmidei Chachamim? I would ask the Kasha that if you have such anger, then are you even a Tsanua? That's what I would like to ask. Tsanua is a worked out inner person. If somebody makes you so mad, how Tsanua are you? Tsanua is a person, Yisrael, who has their inners worked out. If Rabbi Kiva would say that Talmidei Chachamim disturbed him in such a way, we all have the tendency, somebody who's more advanced than us can get us insecure and angry. But that's not a Tsanua. A Tsanua understands himself, that if somebody's not attuned to themselves, is completely not self-aware. So somebody passes by you, stark, makes them feel small. And they may even be angry to that person because they have unchecked, insecure feelings. Insecurity. Any single person who's insecure and not developed will say that his wife and kids kill him. Any. If a guy is not developed, is insecure one day, says, my wife and kids kill me, always. Wife's allowed to be honest, is allowed to be angry at him. His kids, for certain, are allowed to make him upset. If the guy's not developed, his wife and kids kill him. So if Rabbi Kiva wasn't developed, you see a Talmud Chacham, it gets me mad. But he's a Tsanua. He's a person who knows his stuff. He knows his inner. He's attuned. He's sensitive. A person's worked out. His wife saves his life. His children make his life. If you're worked out, your kids make your life. If you're unattuned, your kids destroy your life. Because they're just being themselves. They're being open, they're being honest. I've heard this from many, many underdeveloped people who are clueless to their own self. His wife, mamish, breaks him apart because he doesn't know him, he's insecure. Doesn't know himself, his children. If he's a healthy man, his wife says she's an ezer. She saves his life, his children save his life. Rabbi Kiva's a Tsanua, he knows himself. So what does that mean when he saw a Talmud Chacham? He wants to bite him and break his bones. What's going on here? Unchecked anger, unchecked insecurity. I thought he's a Tsanua Umali, a developed human being who has an inner, who's Mali, who's Midas Taivas. What's going on? Taisvis asked the Kash on Mali, Manny. It always bothers me. I would ask on Tsanua. Taisvis asked on Mali, on the Midas Taivas. So for Tais and Ksubas, which answers on Tzanu also, it's my kasha, Manny. Why you didn't ask from Tznias, I don't know. But answers Taisvis about Mali, about the Midas Taivas, answers Taisvis, is Mali's good Midas. What does it mean he wanted to bite? So kasha 1. Kasha 2 is, why did he tell his Talmidim this? Why did he tell war stories of his unglorious past? Very not beseder. If a person serving Hashem has a tremendous pride in the service of Hashem, he's trying to celebrate. In the old days, I used to steal cars. Let's say a guy was a ganav. Is it so pasha to just speak about your old days of robbing? I know a ganav who became a big Talmud Chacham. Guy was a thief. When he was a young kid, he was a robber. I know a guy. It's a big Talmud Chacham today. It's tzaddik. You think he goes around talking about the days of thievery? Chas v'shalom. He doesn't glorify it. It's not good to take other people's stuff. He doesn't want to be callous to. He doesn't want to make he's not going to celebrate it. If there's a reason to say over, he's not embarrassed from his past. Not in the sense he has a beautiful journey. B'makom shabali tshuva. He's very secure and confident in his journey. But he's not going around, back in the day when I used to rob. It's not a good tazach. He's not going to celebrate and glorify stealing. Why would Rabbi Kiva share with the students as if bragging? You should know what I once was. I wanted Talmidei, I wanted to crush them. Now you could, Taina. He's giving hope to his students. Don't feel you're too lost. These are the students of Kiva. Which Yid feels so lost? These are tzaddikim and Yidden. Why was Rabbi Kiva sharing with his Talmidim that back in the day I wanted to crush Talmidei Chachamim? What a strange thing to glorify such anger. Talmidei Chacham are wonderful people, they're wonderful tzaddikim. And yet Rabbi Kiva would tell such a strange behaviors that when I was Nam Haaretz, I wanted to crush Talmidei Chacham, I wanted to smash their bones. What's he? Is he glorifying such an unholy, a dark past, Avi? Those are my two kashas. Why does Rabbi Kiva say this to his Talmidim about his dark past? It's actually a pasuk, Ashrei ish mechasa pishav. Lucky is the person who covers his sins. It doesn't mean to hide. Of course, a person can acknowledge, a person does tshuva, does vidui, faces the entirety of self. It doesn't mean to be shamed. We're all human. What's Asher Yish Mechaseh Pishav? There's a time not to glorify sin. You don't want to turn it into something cool. When I was young, wow, that was so geschmack. We used to steal cars. It's nishkin gutes. It's not a good thing. So why does Rabbi Kiva here share with his Talmidim his unglorious past of wanting to crush Talmid Chacham's bones, smashing them to smithereens? Why, Elio, why would somebody share such a ridiculous thing about himself? It seems strange, without a purpose. Why would he do it? Obviously, he was saying something to the Talmidim. What was Rabbi Kiva saying to the Talmidim? So, Yankov, we have two kashas. Why did he share it with the students? His strange and violent history of wanting to bite the bones of Talmid Chacham, crushing them to smithereens. Why did he share that with his students? Question number one. And question number two is, where the good midas in that? He's a tznuah, he's a developed inner world, he has good midas, and yet he wanted to crush Talmid Chacham. It doesn't sound like such good midas. Says Taisvis, the Pshat in Rabbi Kiva, says Taisvis, is the way it was, is Talmidei Chachamim didn't shake his hands when he was Nam Aretz. They were worried about Inyanei Tumah and they wouldn't shake his hands. And since he held he was hated, hearts reflect. The way somebody feels to you, you feel back to them. Since the great Rabbi Kiva held he was hated, so he hated back. That's a mitzius. He felt disliked and not appreciated. Savar, he held that he was hated, and Mimeli hated back. It wasn't an uncalled, it wasn't the person who was insecure. He knew who he was. He was a tzanua. He understood himself. It wasn't unchecked insecurity. It wasn't midas reis. He was a gentle person. It's a simple fact. If you feel hated, you hate back. That's how the heart works. What somebody feels to you, you feel back. Kimayim panim al panim. Just like water reflects. What the water shows the water reflects back. Kain lei b'nadam. That's the hearts of people work. What you feel, what one feels to you, you feel back. So Rabbi Kiva felt despised, so he despised back. That's how the hearts work. That's what Taisva says. What I suspect Rabbi Kiva was telling his Talmidim. He was saying to the Talmidim who were the teachers of Torah, who were the teachers of the Messiah, he wanted them to know, when I was in Amaretz, when I was a person, I hated Talmid Chacham because I felt disliked. And he was telling his Talmidim who were going to be the teachers of Torah to Klal Yisrael. He was telling them that their attitudes towards people, towards other people, their attitudes, respecting others, appreciating others, are massively important in giving that which you want to give. Appreciate the next person. Shimi, I want every guy to hear this. This is a dangerous place, and I want to explain you the danger. It's a place of honesty, and people acquire a lot here, real things. Never look down at another yid, never. Don't use what you acquire. Rabbi Kiva's yeshiva was a great place, and you acquired emes by Rabbi Kiva. And he was worried, specifically in a place you acquire emes. If you have the emes and you use it to look down at others, you create a shizam, a divide. And what you have there in truth doesn't spread elsewhere. It only stays in the Beis Medrash. Rabbi Kiva knew the truth, that his job was to teach Torah to Am Yisrael. And Rabbi Kiva knew the preciousness of Nishmas Yisrael. Rabbi Kiva had been down and out, was a Bakam Haaretz, but somebody saw beauty in him, his wife saw beauty, and he became one of the greats of our history. And he said to his Talmidim, please understand, here you're going to learn truth. Here you're going to connect to God. Here you're going to grow. Here you're going to become something. I need you to know that if you look bad, I was a gute mensch. I was a tznuah and a mali. But because I felt hated, I hated back, and everything that went on in the Beis Medrash couldn't spread. I don't want the emes that exists in this Beis Medrash to just stay here. We can put tremendous amounts, my friends, and beauty will come from this Beis Medrash. But if people use sincerity and truth and look down at others, so then the truth doesn't spread, and that alone is a sheker. That alone is a lie. See good in others. See the quality in others. See preciousness. People are good people. People are wonderful. See good in others. See good in others. See the milah. See the beauty in others. If one doesn't see good in others, what's the truth that's studied in the Beis Medrash doesn't get transferred there. If one uses truths, if one uses accomplishments and things they acquire not to see good in others, it doesn't spread. The Gemara in Nedarim tells us, I learned this Gemara with my father. If you ever learned a more awkward Gemara with a father of yours, this Gemara is awkward. There's a Gemara Pei Aleph in Nedarim to learn with your dad. And I learned this together with my father. And the Gemara says, why is it that often Talmidei Chacham's kids are not Talmidei Chacham? My father read this Gemara, this Talmud Chacham, to his Amaret's son. Why is it often that Talmidei Chacham's sons are not Talmidei Chacham? The Gemara's question, Pei Aleph Amar Aleph Nedarim. The Gemara gives 6 answers. And one answer is because they call people Chamayrim, because they don't see good in people. I want you to hear this. Please don't be shallow. I beg every guy to pay attention for a minute. It says, Shimi, I want you to hear this. It says, Talmidei Chachamim's kids, please listen. This might be the most important thing you can learn the whole year. Simcha, listen. It says, Talmidei Chachamim's kids become Amaratzim because they call people Talmidei Chacham. Please listen. If you're a guy who's very external and doesn't know how to learn Torah, so you learn it's like a patch. Since you are not nice to people, patch. Your kids are not Talmidei Chacham. Grow up, Chevra. Torah is much deeper than that. It's saying something. It's saying something. Please listen to what I believe the Gemara is saying. It's not a random einish. Why do you punish a guy that way? I have a kash on the Gemara. Why make his kid not a Talmud Chacham? What are you doing to his poor kid? Punish him. What's happening? Punish him. Why punish his kid? La yum subanim alavaisam. A kid doesn't get punished for the sins of his dad. Why is kid punished? He's a bum. He calls people bad names. What are you punishing his poor kids for? And the Gemara says if a person calls people chamayrim, they look down at people, their kids are not Talmidei Chachamim. What's happening? What are you punishing his poor kid? Punish him. What are you patch his kid? Zivug chata, one guy sins, v'tuvya mangid, you hit somebody else. Why would you punish a man who calls people donkeys? He calls people, he looks down at people. Here you have this Talmud Chacham, this scholarly man, a big-time person, and he calls people donkeys. His kids are not Talmidei Chachamim. What the punishment? What the Gemara is saying, my friends, what the Gemara means, Chevra, that his kids are not Talmidei Chachamim, your kids are the deepest place of you. Reb Tzadok HaKohen writes that your kids are your deepest secrets. Your kids are you. You ever meet a man, he said his kid's off the derech? I promise you he's off the derech. People don't like hearing this. What do you mean? It's just my kid. There's a place in you. There's a space in you. My kids are all from, and I have a space that's off the derech. Hashem, siyata d'shmai. I married a tzaddik because it didn't come out of my kids. There's not a bone in you. There's not a part of you that's off the derech. Your kids are you. Your kids are you. Don't be stupid. You know, people have, he has kids problem. The kids are us. Reb Tzadok writes, your kids are your darkest secrets, your deepest secrets. I shouldn't say your darkest, your deepest, your most beautiful secrets. Your kids are you. They're you, they're an expression of you, they come from you. So what does it mean his kid's not a Talmud Chacham? It means that he didn't acquire it. If it was deeply him, of course his kids would be Talmid Chacham. If they call people Chamarim, it wasn't deeply him. What does that mean? He's doch a Talmud Chacham. His very Siba, he's such a stark mensch, he's so stark. So when you're stark, what do you want from me? I'm stark. It hits me how unstark the other guy is. But if a person acquires in a real way, he chaps how impressive every yid is. If a person acquires, if he looks at other people and he calls them chamarim, he hasn't acquired Torah. He doesn't have the eyes of a ben Torah. Who was the greatest, who was the founder, the father of the people who are Mekabel Torah is Avram Avinu. What's the mid of Avram Ayin Tov? He sees good in people. He sees the holiness, the sincerity, the sweetness, the goodness. It's a chsaron in his own Torah if he calls people chamarim. Rabbi Kiva told his Talmidim in this space, Medrash, it's not like nice things. Please be good boys and see good in people. He's teaching them Torah. He said here when I was Namaretz, I felt this like there was a chsaron in the Beis Medrash. There was a chsaron in the Beis Medrash. He's not telling his Talmidim like a frumma thing. Be nice boys, guys. He's saying that the Kinyan HaTorah, to the one who acquires Torah, chaps that we're worthy of Torah, and sees it in the other person's also worthy of Torah. Rabbi Kiva, who acquired Torah, understood that a Yid is worthy of Torah. A Yid's worthy of Torah. And so he sees in the other person somebody who's worthy of Torah. Just like Rabbi Kiva's wife saw in him somebody who's worthy of Torah. Hashem saw in us people who are worthy of the glorious Torah. We're shaykh to Torah. We have a shaykhis to Torah. We're worthy of Torah. I have said this many times that tefillin is the keser of Torah, is the crown of Torah. And remarkably, we're given tefillin at bar mitzvah. Give a guy tefillin. It's the mitzvah of the yeshiva. Guys put on tefillin here. Why don't you give a guy tefillin when he finishes his first mesechta? Give him tefillin and he has big accomplishments. Yet we give tefillin right away at the beginning when a guy's just bar mitzvah. He hasn't opened a Gemara yet, practically. Because a Yid is worthy of Torah. He has the crown of Torah. He's shaykh to Torah. He's shaykh to madregas of Torah. Rabbi Kiva told his Talmidim that I used to hate Talmid Chachamim. There was something wrong in the Beis Medrash. If the Amaretz was caught, remember it said he wanted to bite them like a chamar. That says to me he felt like a chamar. Who made him feel like a chamar? He said the Talmidei Chachamim made him feel like a chamar. That's a chsaron emanating from the Beis Medrash, and he taught his Talmidim that if we're successful here, when I was in Amaretz, I felt I wanted to bite Talmidei Chachamim. I felt the sinna emanating from the Beis Medrash. That's not what a place of truth is supposed to give to somebody. So I want to say, Rabbi, as we're embarking on this journey, it's the best man of the yeshiva. We're going to see growth in here, but I want to say at the beginning of this journey, this Pesach man journey, that as you're growing, make sure to see deeply others. Don't judge by what you've acquired. If you have external eyes, so a guy becomes stark. I was asked, a friend of mine once struggled, then he got stark, then he's struggling again. So the external journey, whoa, he was stark, then he was weak, now he's stark. He wasn't stark, he wasn't weak, he wasn't stark again. He's a flaming soul the whole time, who's worthy of Torah, who's shaykh to Torah. I don't have such external eyes of this. He's a flaming soul who's shaykh to Torah, who's shaykh to Hashem. Okay, at times he sees what he is, and at times he loses sight of what he is. But I want to say to the chevra that we're shaykh to Torah, and as we acquire Torah, to see the next person as shaykh to Torah also. What a tragedy it would be if the Rabbi Kivas of the world, who somebody saw in him that he was shaykh to Torah, and of course became the great Ben Torah, one of the greats of our history. His wife saw he was shaykh to Torah. He taught his Talmidim in an ever important share, not to look down at others, not to give from the Beis Medrash. If what you learned here is now you're stark, and other people aren't stark, you didn't learn the right things. You learned that you always were. You learned who we are, what we have, what we're about, what our essence is. From that place, share it with others. What you discovered in yourself, see in others. I love when a guy from the Beis Medrash walks out of here and steigs and sees in others goodness. One of the greats who ever learned in the Beis Medrash is a guy, Mati Dahan. He's a guy who's a Talmud Chacham, Muflig. The Yid knows an incredible amount of Torah. He learns with two of the G'dolei Adar, one-on-one. B'chavrusa came out of our Beis Medrash. I love when he comes back. He'll sit next to any 10th grader. He's in our entire nation. I say this publicly. I don't know how many people in our nation under 35 know what this young man knows. Talmud Chacham, Mufle, Kenai Nahara, Kol HaTorah Kula, Bavli, Klur, Mamish, incredible amounts. I don't want to be Megazim. I don't know the exact amounts. Incredible amounts of Torah he knows. You know what my main nachas from? Maybe my biggest nachas from this tzaddik, this Talmud Chacham, when he sits next to a 10th grader here, he's mechabed. But not he's mechabed like an external thing. Oh, you're such a... No. He'd sit next to anybody. He'd be right in now. He'd sit amongst us. He's one of the chevra. He sees. He sees what we are, what we have. Tonight, I want to tell you about my Rebbe tonight. Tonight I'm going to talk. We're going to gather together. I asked the Olam comes at 8:15. I want to talk for an hour about my Rebbe tonight. I want to tell you about him. But I want to first tell you now about my Rebbe's Rebbe, Rav Aaron Kotler. Rav Aaron Kotler was a Sar HaTorah, was a goin Kol HaTorah Kula was in his mind. He's one of the great minds in the last 100 years. Brilliant. Try to read his Svarim. A mind of epic proportions. Kolat, to follow you and I would work. I would challenge a guy here, learn one piece in Rav Aaron Sefer, say it back to me. I challenge you. Crazy. Like you need like an Einstein mind to follow one piece of it. The mind you need, his shtickluch, goinus, a goin b'tayr, Rav Aaron Kotler. Rav Aaron came to America. A famous rabbi got up, I know this dude's name, and he said publicly, Cutlerism won't survive on these shores. This guy made a prediction, it won't work here. He saw Goin B'Torah and he saw American kids. And he doubted the American kid. These kids, my Rebbe, the first time he met Rav Aaron, he put on a ring on his finger to be Mechabed Rav Aaron. My Rebbe was the frummest guy, was from the frummer guys. He put on a beautiful ring, covered at Torah. Should be respect for his Rebbe, Rav Aaron Kotler. And this guy doubted that people would be able to get from Rav Aaron. You have a Sar HaTorah and you have these American Joe DiMaggio fans. He underestimated Nishmas Yisrael. He didn't understand it. He underestimated that we can go to Moshe Rabbeinu himself if he came. I promise it would survive here, would thrive. If Moshe Rabbeinu showed up, we'd connect to him and he'd connect us. Because we're shaykh, because we're Am Yisrael, we're shaykh. This man underestimated, he didn't know what a Yid was. He didn't know what a Yid was. He called people Chamayrim. He saw American kids, he saw Rav Aaron. He said, this divide is way too great. He didn't know what a Yid was. So I wanted to say, Chevra, we're thinking about Klal Yisrael. We're talking about Rabbi Kiva specifically. I wanted to say in this space medrash, as people acquire, I wanted to ask the Chevra, as we acquire, as we grow, not to look down at anybody, to understand, as we discover in ourselves, to know what's in him too. Not to look down. And Rabbi Kiva asked his Talmidim this, so forever when Klal Yisrael in these weeks is setting sail on this journey of learning Torah, becoming B'nai Torah, we remind ourselves of Rabbi Kiva. And we remind the teachings Rabbi Kiva taught his Talmidim. Taught his Talmidim to see the Nishmas Yisrael, to see the greatness in a Yid, that the Amorit shouldn't feel despised. I wanted to welcome the guys back and say this man is a massively important and good man in the yeshiva. I wanted to be mechazik. The weather outside gets beautiful and the world starts flowering, and so happens here. It's a man, a time that's misogel for tremendous steiging, for tremendous growth. The week from Pesach to Shavuos, the summer months, a tremendous time of Archavas Hadas. People get happier, and the weather itself, there's an explosion of Paris, of things come out, that people can produce things from within. So I want to wish us all a good zman. I ask each person, let's get involved. There are a lot of good things that go on in yeshiva. A lot of very good things that go on. Come join, be part of things. We're Be'ez Hashem, join a shir. If your shir is going well, be mechazik. If your shir you're in is not going well, switch to a different shir that will go well. Create a schedule. Come to the shir. Let's come to davenings in the morning. The shachris begins about 9. Come to shachris in the morning. Go to a shir. If your Rebbe shir is working stark, excellent. If not, plug into a different shir. But come to shir. The shir will go to about 1 o'clock. The shir in the morning. Most are going to be mechazik to start on time. There'll be things in the afternoon. Shlomo is starting. They're starting 2 leagues. Join the leagues. There's a flag football league starts that runs in the afternoons. There's a softball league that starts now that runs in the afternoon. Join the leagues. The softball field, the rides to the flag football is going to start this Thursday, Be'ez Hashem. The first games, it starts right on our field here. Shlomo's getting busy today and tomorrow. Shlomo Feldman's making the field, so that's going to start. Flag football, softball. Today we're going to have a volleyball tournament. Guys, please come join. Today is beautiful, sunny, and hot. The next couple of days don't precisely look like that. Come join. After we daven mincha, there'll be a volleyball tournament. Come join together. We just should play ball and have a good time together. That's after mincha Be'ez Hashem. If guys can come join, the Musaf, we're going to try typically. Today we met early. We're going to try to be more on time. Mincha is usually 3:05. Follow